Hi, this is Becca.
And this is Hayden, and you're listening to Wrestling with Entertainment.
Hey gang, this is Mortar, and you're listening to Wrestling with Entertainment.
This is Mikko Maestro, and you're listening Wrestling with Entertainment.
Hello, and welcome to the show. It's Wrestling with Entertainment, bringing you the latest exclusive breaking news, previewing and reviewing the latest shows on WWE, AEW, New Japan, and everything in between every Saturday, and interviewing all your favorite wrestlers every Wednesday on YouTube and Castbox. It's sponsored by Rogue Energy and Player One Coffee. I am, of course, your host, James J., alongside Kaliko Yachts, who is not here today, and Scooter Dust, who will be joining us in a few minutes. And it is a great day for wrestling, because we are wrestling with Mikko Maestro!
Hey James, thank you for having me.
Absolutely, how are you?
I'm doing great. Yeah, it's a great weather today. I went to the gym. Just a nice Monday here in Portland, Oregon.
That's fantastic. Could you tell us what you got coming up and where we can find you on social media?
You can find me on social media. From Twitter, it's at Mikko Maestro. So it's Mikko Maestro. And on Instagram, I'm Mikko.maestro. Right now, I have some local shows going up here in Portland. Might be going to the south later this year, so stay tuned. But I don't have current dates announced yet, but you'll sure find it from my Twitter page. That's where I'm most active right now. I tweet on nearly daily basis.
You got merchandise?
Oh yes, if you want to order yourself some Mikko Maestro merchandise, you can find me on Pro Wrestling Tees or Brainbuster Tees. We have Mikko Mania T-shirts and all the way up to fanny packs and all the cool stuff that you need for your summer beach resort days.
And of course, if you don't even have to draw it into your Google machine, if you don't even know how to spell Maestro, we got you covered. The links are in the description of the video below, both on YouTube and Castbox. All you need to do is click it. Okay, let's get into it. You work for FCF and WCWC. Can you tell us about your relationship with those companies?
I hadn't been in FCF Wrestling for a while since I moved here to the United States. FCF Wrestling is a local wrestling promotion in Finland, where I'm from myself. I actually started my career in there because I started wrestling about 10 years ago, and in Finland it's way different than here in the States because... excuse me. Yeah, sorry about that. My dog was about to bark to the neighbors. So okay. So when I started wrestling, there was only one wrestling ring and one promotion in Finland. Now, about a decade later, there's actually 2 rings and 2 promotions. So I guess we're getting there.
Look at them.
WCWC is based here in Oregon. It's in Salem, it's the capital. And unfortunately, because of the pandemic, they haven't run a show in over 2 years now, I think, actually. Wow. But so hopefully they get back. They have really high production value, but most likely you can find me on Blue Collar Wrestling. It's a promotion here in northern Portland, and they run every Sunday. Now this Sunday is going to be the 4th week on a row where we're going to have a show at BCW. So the pandemic hit the wrestling scene real hard over here. I mean, not just over here in Pacific Northwest, but all over the globe. Actually, I had a match in Finland on the other wrestling promotion back in November. It's called Slam Wrestling. So that was nice to see some old faces that I hadn't seen for, probably for like 2 years or so, because that was the first time during the pandemic that I visited Finland. I had been traveling much like probably none of us have, just been staying home.
So, You said you was working for Blue Collar Wrestling. How does it feel to have, obviously the pandemic has shifted things, and you're working 3-4 days out of the week, and now it was nothing, and now you have some stability with at least a Sunday show every week.
Oh yeah, it's great to be back. Like during the pandemic, it's really hard to get bookings. There might be like the longest there was like 7-month break. I didn't have a single booking, and we couldn't even do wrestling practice over here because we weren't allowed to gather like more than 15 people indoors. It was very strict at the time. So now that's been good. Like since this summer, we got our wrestling practice back. So even though there wasn't that many shows, I got to be in the ring every week, which is great, because the in-ring shape is a lot different than being in shape in general. Like I could run for hours, but when you haven't been in the ring and hit the ropes and throw the guys around, you'll get gassed out real fast if you haven't done it for a while. So I was glad that I got back in ring shape, before I started getting more bookings. And now actually business is picking up, like shows started coming maybe like once a month, twice a month, and now it seems like BCW is back on weekly basis, at least 4 weeks in a row. I don't want to, count my chickens before they hatch, but right now it looks pretty good. I know the COVID ratings are really high right now, so that's the thing. It's like you never know when it's gonna end. You have to enjoy every single moment of it. I think that's what I've learned during the pandemic is that you really have to enjoy the moments because you never know when your next match is gonna be or next anything. It's been so close down, but yeah, it feels good to be back, and it was crazy. There was like a year when I didn't even go to the gym. I was home workouts, doing those burpees, But yeah, life's getting back to normal. I mean, I guess new normal, you would say it. Right. So yeah, it's good to be back, man. Good to be back, James.
And you, during the pandemic, you had an 8-month stint between matches?
Yeah. So when I had my match in like February 2020, and then in March, it's like promotions started postponing their shows and end up canceling the shows. And, then it's recommended not to travel outside, your own state or so, So I was following the guidelines, and there was no shows over here. Eventually, when, place started opening, I started doing some wrestling shows in Idaho, which was about a 9-hour drive or so. So it's a bit far away, but, it's great, great to be out there. They were all like outdoor events at the time. Nobody wanted to take the risk of booking, indoor venues, which is understandable. So I wrestled, for example, there was a taco festival in Jerome, Idaho. So it's that's the thing about wrestling, it still has a carnival atmosphere. You never know where you'll find yourself, you end up in interesting situations.
Taco festival in Idaho. That's very interesting.
Yeah. No, I mean that's a lot of fun. I mean it's great, and
did you at least
Jerome
get a taco? Did you at least get a taco?
Oh yeah, I got tacos for lunch and dinner, for both days I was there. So yeah, for sure. Now, but it's also nice because Jerome, I think there's about 11,000 people. It's like one of those smaller towns when there's not much going on in general. So when something is going on, everybody shows up,
And what was that? What did it feel like taking your first bump after 8 months, having that first match back?
Actually, it wasn't too bad. I was thinking about it because whenever I think about those bumps, is that I remember my first wrestling practice. It was 4 hours in summertime, and I came home and I had headache for the rest of the day. And I was thinking, like, man, it's gonna be like this every day till the rest of my life. Because it's the very first time I'd been in the ring. So I was prepared for that. I was thinking, like, man, it's gonna be rough. But actually, no, it's just the thing. I don't know, man. It's I wouldn't say that I hadn't missed a beat, but it wasn't too bad. I think. Once I got the first match out of the way, it was luckily a 6-man tag too, so I wasn't in the ring too much,
That makes it easier.
Yeah. So
now you mentioned the taco festival. I do know that they do like medieval carnivals in Finland, and wrestling is usually a part of that. There's usually matches. Was you ever part of that?
Yes, I was. I think I was there like 3 years in a row. So they would have shows in Hämeenlinna, which is another like smaller town. Usually the wrestling shows are mainly in Helsinki, which is the capital, because that's where the people are, and
Right.
when you go outside of it, it's very risky. You don't know if you're gonna draw anything. But yeah, the medieval festival. I can't remember. It was like 2011. I did for the first time, but I was there for three years in a row at least. And there's 3 days of wrestling. A lot of like new people. Most of the people over there have never seen wrestling in their lives, and the festival themselves gave us like these gears to wear. We couldn't like wrestle with the sports and shield what they gave us, but just to use on the entrance. They had like I think it's like live action role playing. What they call, they had like this real heavy gear that they wanted us to wear. Like your knights and go into the ring. I remember one of those festivals. It's really nice. We had a wrestler called Dark Sheik from Oakland, California over there. And I got to wrestle with Sheik 3 days in a row. It was a really good experience for me because I had been in business for maybe 2 years at that point. And I know if you all know who Sheik is, right now she's been on GCW and then she ran the Hoot Slam wrestling shows in Oakland, which are pretty wild. It's like this bar, they run every Friday. I mean, with the pandemic, they haven't been that active, but they're still, still there, and hopefully get more on the weekly basis. It's crazy. It's every Friday, and every week it's a sold out show. There's, I think the capacity is like 1,000 or 1,100 people. They have a live band playing there. The wrestlers are like something you might see on video games. They would have like Scorpion and Ryu and Ken from Street Fighter, between the regular wrestling roster there. So it's definitely like different atmosphere. I was a good time. I was like the biggest party of the week. And I've been, how would you say it, lucky enough to be on, I think, 3 Hoot Slam shows in my career. Yeah. But yeah, so all of y'all from the Bay Area, if you hear about Hoot Slam, go check it out. Excellent show, excellent talent. Some of those people training there got signed to WRESTLINGWITHE, like Shotzi was a regular on Hoot Slam, and Mansoor. So, yeah.
Yeah. You said, a lot of the more animated characters. Is that what the announcer just called you Glass Joe out of nowhere?
Oh, no, that's fun. That's the second time I was on Hoot Slam, and the thing was, it was a video game show. So in that show, they didn't have a single, I guess we would call them regular wrestlers, or just nobody was there themselves. So they said that, they like me to be on the show, but we gotta figure out the character. And then, we thought about Glass Joe, because those who are familiar with Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. So he's this tall, skinny European guy. I mean, I think he's French. I'm from Finland, but I seem to fit the picture really well. So now it was a good time. But also the thing is that I think it's like a 1 minute match or so, because Glass Joe is like the easiest opponent ever. Yeah. So I was actually wrestling Shaggy O'Neal from a video game called Shag Fu. So they had like this crossover between fighting games. So yeah, he did this slam dunk choke slam on me, and yeah, this wrestler called Big B was portraying Shaggy O'Neal. Good times, man, good times.
Now, like you even had mentioned, there's a difference between, Finland wrestling to American wrestling. When you came to America from Finland, did you have to adjust to that style, and what was maybe the biggest setbacks you had adjusting to those differences?
I don't know, I think it actually been my benefit of being from Europe, because the European style is a little bit different. It's getting kind of very Western, how would you say it? Now wrestling area is more similar, but there's still small differences or huge differences, how would you like to say it? But those who have seen my matches, I do a lot of what some would call chain wrestling, it's just close contact and not necessarily high flying stuff. And unfortunately, like there's some times I've been in the ring like with guys who haven't they haven't really done chain wrestling. You know, it's interesting because that's like the base where you start from in Europe. You know, before you learn to run, you have to learn to walk. You know,
Right.
but I mean, I don't want to say like I don't want to give bad image because the talent over here in the States is like top notch. But I think it's just like different culture of wrestling. You know, but like I said, that it's work for my benefit. The thing is, like, it's good to be. Many times I'm the only European guy on the card, so that's what you want. You want to have diversity. You want to have something for everyone. Like when I like to watch wrestling, I actually enjoy a lot like the '97 WCW because you can see like all the cruiserweights and the heavyweights and tag teams. I think it's such a great mixed bag, and I think that's how the best wrestling shows are. Because you don't want to draw away certain kind of crowd, you know, you gotta draw everybody in, you know. So there's some people who prefer like cruiserweights. I'm 6'4" myself, you know, so I can't really pull off that, you know. But and then there's people who like more lighthearted, like comedy wrestling, and I think that's the best kind of show when you have a little bit of everything mixed up. And that's, I think, how I've been popular enough to get, you know, a lot of bookings around here in the States, because not only that, a lot of times I'm tallest wrestler, but also if I'm not the only European guy, I'm the only Finnish guy, you know, over there.
Yeah, because there's not a lot of Finns that have broken out in America and you know, other countries. I think the only one I can think of is Jessica Love.
Oh yeah, Jessica was hugely popular in Japan. I don't know last time she was there, but I remember like back when I was training, and I felt like she was there every other month, mainly on Tajiri's promotion, Smash Wrestling, which unfortunately isn't active anymore. But so Tajiri from WWE started his own wrestling promotion in Japan, and he used to book Jessica Love there a lot.
Now you did mention that you just you had a match in Finland for the first time in 2 years. What was it like to come back to your home country and kind of use what you learned living here in America?
Oh well, the thing is, the show was in town where they hadn't had wrestling in, I think, like 4 years or so. So the crowd wasn't like too big. I think there was like 60 people. But also it's a smaller venue, so I think they could only fit like 100 there anyway. But yeah, so it was like a smaller show, which one thing I noticed though, because with smaller, you know, audience, you kind of like get to see the faces more. You're gonna make your entrance or whatever, sign autographs. So I was surprised I recognized maybe like every third person in the crowd, you know, because there's a lot of people who over the years, you know, especially in Finland when the shows probably draw like 150 to 200 people, at least like half of the audience is always the same. The people are like really into wrestling who come to every show. So it was nice, you know, that heartwarming, you know, homecoming feeling, you know, not just meeting all those wrestlers that you knew, but also like seeing the people in the audience, like, oh yeah, like I know these people, you know, because they've been going to see our matches for years, you know. So yeah, I don't know. I think that's the best way to describe it. It's just it was just very warm, you know, like small wrestling show. Great talent there, and I was happy that I got to wrestle with backbreaker Dylan Broder, because at the time I was in Finland, he was a referee. So for the last 2 years, he started training to be a wrestler. You know, he thought about it, and so I remember we still kept in touch. You know, we call every now and then, and we were talking like maybe because he's Canadian. We were thinking like maybe one day he'll come to Canada, and you know he might make the drive here to Pacific Northwest. But now we did the other way around. I actually was in Finland, and we got to wrestle together. So yeah, really, and he's just really good too. Like, I mean, I'm sure that the experience being a referee helps, but he really has that like. Would you call him like natural? You know, like some people have the it factor, and I think Backbreaker is one of those guys. And what helps is that he's really humble. You know, if you keep your mouth shut and ears open, I think that benefits you like a lot in professional wrestling.
Yeah, That's just incredible. You know, the guy that was refereeing your matches is now standing before you as your opponent. That's really cool. Now, being back in Finland, once that plane touched down, the first thing you had to do, or the first thing you missed about Finland was?
Believe it or not, I really like the snow. It's really cold over there. I know some people hate it. They think it's so dark and cold, like maybe like 1/4 of the year. But no, it's yeah, I really like the snow being there. I think it wakens me up. Like when I go in the morning, leave my house. It's like I'm already all awake. I have to like shake it off and have like a gallon of coffee to get out of bed. So, but there's things in Finland like I don't know if you're familiar with sauna. When you sit there and throw the hot steam.
Oh, yeah,
there's some
sauna.
here in the States, but it's not the same. Like a lot of times you go like LA Fitness, and they say they have a sauna, but actually it's more like a steam room. It's a different thing. I don't know. I guess the best way to explain is that in Finnish saunas, you're in charge of the temperature. So you can throw in the water as much as you want to bring it hotter or colder. Then it goes like up and down. And here, if you go to an automatic sauna in a gym, it's always the same temperature, so you don't get the highs and lows of it, which I think is a very important part of the experience. Like when you're like uncomfortably hot for just a little bit, and then it goes down, then it starts getting like so cool that you feel like, oh, I gotta get the temperature up again, it's like a roller coaster. But in Finland too, I visited my mom and she made me some reindeer stew, which is excellent. You don't really eat reindeer over here in the States. It seems like it's not really culturally acceptable, especially on the holiday season,
Yeah.
But it's excellent. Yeah, it's probably my favorite meal in the whole world is reindeer stew. Just served with mashed potatoes and lingonberries. It's really good.
I do.
So if you ever go to Finland, James, you gotta try reindeer stew, man. That's my tip for you.
All right, I will keep that definitely in mind. I do have a reindeer food question related, but I will keep that for later.
All right.
Now, keeping on Finland, you won the Finnish heavyweight championship from your trainer Starbuck in a 30-minute Ironman match. What did that mean?
Yes.
What did that mean to you to be in that match, wrestle your trainer, and be in such a big stipulation match, like an Ironman match, and actually come out on top?
Well, there's a couple of things. First of all, like starting with the venue is that just from walking distance from my house. It's actually on the same street that I lived on at the time. So it's called Töölön Kisahalli, which means Töölön Sports Hall. And before I started pro wrestling, I used to play basketball. So I had a lot of basketball games in that same venue. So I never won the Finnish championship on basketball, but it was nice to win the Finnish championship, in wrestling in the same place where I used to play for years. And no, it was great. That's it didn't really have that big show atmosphere because a lot of times you have shows in bar venues, which are great. It's nice to have that intense, like small crowd there. But when it's in a sports hall, I think there's like 400 people there. We did the show last year to grow a little bit better, but it still was a good crowd. 30-minute Ironman. My friend Heikki, who was watching it, he said that his favorite thing about the match was what he would describe wrestling. My trainer Starbuck is a really old school guy. He was trained by Lance Storm, and he was trained the way when you do the Hindu squats and push-ups. So I think that's a good way to put it. Like it's a wrestling match. It's like wrestling, I guess. No gimmicks needed. 30 minutes is a long time too. But there I didn't really feel it. Like in a sense, like you might be like gassed out or exhausted. Like I remember walking out there, I wouldn't say not even breaking a sweat, but I guess I was just so excited, and all adrenaline going. I didn't really think about it. I started going and going, and when it was over, I was like, oh man, was that half an hour? Like it felt like every time you step in the ring, it's like going to another world. It just goes so much faster. Time just like runs by when you're in there.
I get that. We have a a joke on the show. When a talent from not Japan come in, I always say they didn't fly all the way to Japan, quarantine for 2 weeks just to lose. And then when we would talk about a Japanese talent, I would say he didn't drive 10 minutes to the venue to lose. You were literally you literally walked to the venue. That's awesome.
Yeah. No, yeah, I didn't make the 8-minute walk in snow. You know? I mean, it's cold over there. You have to give you that. You know, it's like 8 minutes in Finland. it's a lot longer than 8 minutes here in Oregon if you're walking outside. No, I wasn't there to lose. You know, oh man, like I've been chasing the belt for about 8 years at the time. So yeah, it was good. I mean, that's the thing about like when it's a local venue. You know, like my brother was there watching. You know, so it was nice. We took the belt. We went to a local bar drinking with my friends. You know, so yeah, good times. Good times indeed.
Was it kind of a bittersweet moment to finally capture what you've been wanting for the last 8 years?
No, I wouldn't say that. No, I think it was a great moment, you know, and you know, I think there's like it opened me a lot of doors. It was within like 6 months after that, I got to wrestle in Switzerland and Netherlands for the first time in my career. So it always like builds this. It makes you like a higher profile performer, you know, and they see it like, oh, like the company's behind this guy, like maybe we should like look into it more. So. Yeah, no, I would say bittersweet. No. So what?
It gave you that extra boost.
Yeah, oh, definitely. Yeah.
Now, you're a new father. How has being a father changed your perspective on your pro wrestling?
I guess you just have to be more, you know, you have to like pick and choose your wrestling more because when you're young, you just want to do like all the shows, big or small or whatever. But now, when you have less time, you have to think like. I mean, I guess I was good to think like what's your worth in general, but it's more like because every minute I'm out of the house, I'm away from my family, you know.
Right.
So then you'd love to go, still, you know, like love to go in all the shows, you know, but I just I can't drive 9 hours every weekend to every single taco festival. I guess no, sorry. I mean, I don't want to talk bad. That's actually a really good weekend. You know, I mean, I just thought it's just a funny thing. You know, like having wrestling. I mean, actually, it seems like later this year I might be going in a hot sauce festival. I think, but nothing is right guaranteed. So I'm looking forward to seeing it. Thing about those festival shows, just like the medieval times we had in Finland, it's nice because there's so much new people, you know. I really enjoy like seeing when you can get people who don't watch wrestling into wrestling. That's great. One of the greatest feeling in the world, you know, because that's what we need. We need more wrestling fans, you know, because it's the greatest entertainment in the world. But yeah, back to your question. Yeah, I think that's it. Just like I don't know if you would say you appreciate your time more, but you want to be like more productive. I think that in general, I don't really have those moments as I used to have on my, you know, early 20s. Now just like watch TV, and now it's crazy. Like when I watch TV, it's all wrestling. You know, I don't really watch any other shows because it's so limited the time you have, the free time on your hands. You know, and there's so much wrestling going on right now. Oh my goodness! So you always wanna just focus on your career, and I think it just made me more productive. You know.
Right. And you know, when you're a carefree bachelor, you know, those 9-hour rides are nothing. But when you got a wife and kid waiting for you, they're a little bit longer.
Yeah, sure. It's a different atmosphere. I think something that you don't really understand once you're in there yourself. You know, I couldn't have imagined it before. You know.
Yeah.
So I can't really put it into words either.
A little late to the party. We are being joined by Scooter Dust.
Hello, my apologies for being so tardy. Pleasure to meet you, Mikko, and make your acquaintance.
Hey, nice to meet you, Scooter.
Alright,
Uh,
Good. We'll throw you into the file.
all right. Let's see. I have a lot. And if this has been discussed, we'll just edit it out. You have a few unusual bragging rights in that you are, I believe, one of the first wrestlers, I think maybe ever, to be preserved in Lego form. How did that happen, and where is that Lego today?
I don't actually have that Lego. I never seen it physically because the person who made it lives in UK, and I don't remember how actually it happened. Like, I think on Twitter he reached out on me and saying like, "Hey, he's making custom Lego characters," and he was actually working on an animated Lego show at the time, where I ended up being one of his episodes. So he was training to be a wrestler in a company. I think it's called CCW. And what he wanted to do is, like, for a promotional gig, he would do like an animated wrestling show about the local wrestlers from that promotion. So he ended up having me on one of those shows too as a character. But before that, he asked me like, would I mind if he would make a custom character of me? And I was up for it. I was very excited to see what comes up, like about it. And that's about it. And we exchanged some messages. It's nice to see how his career is going. We still keep in touch. And so I had never met the person. It came out of the blue, I think I saw his work first, and I might have liked one of his pictures, something like that, how we first connected, But that's it. It's you on the world of social media and wrestling, you run into interesting things that when I got the deal that Brainbuster T started selling Mikko Maestro fanny packs, it's something. A merchandise that I didn't think of I needed, but now it's out there, and now everybody's got to have it.
And I believe you also have a custom wrestling buddy.
I did, yeah. Those were from Mexico. I remember I felt like quite a gamble because the packaging and the mailing took forever, so I wasn't sure if I got ripped off with that deal, because I was talking with the people and they showed me how the products can look like, but it probably took 5 to 6 months before I actually saw it in Finland. So it's a long wait. I did that, and I think it was 25 units we made, and I was thinking it's going to be a hot thing to sell. And after the first show, I think I sold 3. And then I go home and I look at my shelf. I had 20 of Mikko Maestro staring at me, and I was thinking, no, this was not a good idea. But no, they actually... eventually, because when you do multiple shows, you don't sell 10 t-shirts on every show anyway. So eventually, within a year, they were all sold out. And every now and then I keep getting asked if I'm going to do another patch or if I still have them. But I don't know. It's in Finland, the wrestling crowds, as we talked before, there's a lot of the same people, So I wasn't sure if all the people who wanted the toys already had them. Now that I live here in the States, actually different markets, so I should probably get back to it. But yeah, in matter of fact, I did have those Mikko Maestro wrestling buddies. I probably should have kept one for myself, now for my son or something, but, maybe one day.
Well, just keeping up on, all, being immortalized, tell us about Mikko Maestro, the wrestler, the game.
Oh, you heard about that one? No,
I played it.
It's a fun project, because that's the thing. It happened during the period when I said that there was this long, half a year when I didn't have wrestling matches, and I couldn't even get in the ring at the time. There's no wrestling practice going on. So I was thinking, how can I promote my wrestling career? What can I do when there's no shows? And that's the time when I started doing more wrestling podcasts too. And then I think I don't know where I heard about it, but I had never heard. I mean, before a year ago or so, or 2 years ago, I never heard of that. Onita had his own game on Super Nintendo or Super Famicom. The guy who made FMW and all that.
Yeah.
And that got me curious, thinking what if independent wrestler had his own video game? So I was thinking how could I do it? We were talking with actually this bigger video game company was interested about the idea. and we talked about it, and then it's going to be their side project, but then they said that their main project is taking too much time, so they couldn't. Maybe that's their nice way of saying that they canceled the project. So I don't know how far they got with it, but then I got in talks with like smaller developers who had experience making side scrollers, and I was talking with this one guy, and he said that the thing is that he doesn't draw graphics, so we needed somebody to make the Mikko Maestro character there, because everything else we can use stock footage, we can use whatever like enemies or backgrounds he has, as long as we had the character and the main enemy. So I ended up actually drawing. I mean, I had more time in my hands during that time because there was no shows. So I actually draw them on paper and took a picture of them and redraw them on MS Paint and edit my face on the character. So this was my first time drawing sprites. I had no experience before that. And the main thing was I wanted to have the opponent to be a Luther from AEW, because I was training with him back here in Oregon, and I was thinking it would be like good draw, get some attention to the game. But then Luther told me that I have to contact AEW to see if he can use the copyright name. And I didn't hear back from them. As you can assume, I'm not signed in the company, so I don't really have the connections. So we end up calling the character Dr. Salem instead of Dr. Luther, because Salem is the place where we used to go to wrestling practice and train with Luther. So
Okay.
no, that's it. So it's a 3 levels long. It's a very short video game. It runs on PC, and we're sharing it for free. I think easiest way is to find it from my Twitter right now. I should have promoted it better when it came out. I think the guy making it really wanted to have it on Android Market, have it on Google stores, but he had no experience how to do it, and I had no experience in the video game industry whatsoever. So that's as far as we got. He made the 3 levels that runs on PC. It's a pretty fun game, actually. I wish it had been longer. So I was thinking at the time maybe I'll make a Kickstarter or something to get like a funding to make it like actual longer game, because the guy doing it, he can't work for free beyond some point. So
Right.
if he wants to put the hours in it, it's like now we got like now it's more like part of his portfolio. Something he can show off before newer deals, because we are not making profit out of it. But yeah, so so long story short, Mikko Maestro, the rest of the game, it does exist. It's a side-scroller game with Mikko Maestro, with my hand-drawn sprites on it. So we posted it on a couple of sites. So I think if you want to download it, you can find it from Rate. I think it's called Rate My Game, where you can find it. Yeah, but it doesn't run on Mac computer apparently.
Apparently, because I'm not on Mac. I'm on Windows, so I was able to download it, but Scooter was not.
Oh, I see. So you have tried it?
Yes, I played all 3 levels.
Oh yeah, it takes like 4 minutes. it's a very short game. Thank you for playing.
Yeah, I
That's the
really
thing I was
enjoyed it. It was a
wondering.
lot of fun.
Yeah, I have no data from it, so I don't really know like how many people have downloaded, how many people have played it.
Oh,
I
see.
assume it's not really it's probably not the smash hit game, but hopefully many people found it. So it was a fun project. Yeah.
And you know what? It does. The link that I got it from was Google from your Twitter was a Google Drive.
That was a Dropbox.
Dropbox or Google. If anybody's interested in playing the game after listening to this, I'll put in the link in the description of the video below, and they could play it.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I did tweet about it a couple of times, but I feel like if everything in social media is run by the algorithms, so I don't want to spam it too much, because I was afraid that then I wouldn't reach as many people, So, and I'm relatively active on social media myself, so I think it's a little bit buried there if you start scrolling. But you'll find it. You found James, so I'm sure other people can find it too. But I really appreciate putting the link out there and spreading the word of Mikko Maestro, the rest of the game, because I don't cancel out the idea of one day making it like a actual like 8 or 12 levels long, maybe one day.
And I will. You have a pre-order right here with me, because I just think that's awesome that you you're an independent wrestler, and you're probably the only independent wrestler that has their own video game.
Yeah, as far as I know. But I have to say for the listeners, so those who haven't, so I said that I took pride of drawing the sprites, but there's like 3 sprites of the character. It's very like glitchy. How do you say it when you're walking back and forth? So everybody who's looking for this great visual experience, don't get too hopes up. It's not the greatest. I had no previous experience of that. Like I said, it's drawn in paper and then redrawn on MS Paint. That's as far as I got. And right now my laptop is actually broken, so I can't even play the game myself.
Oh. Well, if you need it fixed, I can do that. I just put a new battery in my MacBook. Yeah. I'm gonna piggyback off James' question. You are a huge Mario Maker fan, from what I understand, and I don't know if this is still the case, but you were the 3rd best Mario Maker player in Finland?
Yeah, so that's the thing, like, I grew up playing Nintendo, and now if I play, I still have my Nintendo 64. That's like my go-to.
Ooh.
So I never thought about buying Wii U until I saw the commercial for Super Mario Maker, and that's the game that I wanted. I was thinking, like, just Infinite Mario, because that's the game that I grew up with, the first Super Mario Brothers on Nintendo, and I loved that game. And yeah, so I ended up buying the game, and I liked it so much that I even bought it for my brother for his birthday. So we both play Super Mario Maker, and yeah, I started designing the levels on it just to see like how it is. I had like no idea how far I would get, and they have like they have the world rankings and regional rankings. So when you're playing regionally on Europe, the competition is not as hard as like getting there in Japan or let's say in the United States. Also, the sales of Wii U were like terrible in Europe. So I think there's probably like it's like 1,000 units sold in Finland in general. I mean, I have probably more, but just to give it like a scale. And indeed, I was ranked in Europe. I think the highest I was positioned like 96. So you could see all the European players were created levels, and so there were 2 people from Finland above me. So that would make me the 3rd most popular creator in Finland. So that was, and then when they released the leaderboards, I had most expert clears. At the time, I was ranked in the world rankings in top 100, and I was the only Finnish player there. And then eventually somebody went past me, so congratulations to that player, who was actually called Mikko as well. He's player named Mikko. So I dropped. I'm the 2nd on the most expert players as far as I know. But yeah, it's fun. Like there was a long period of time I didn't play video games, but that one I really got into. I guess you can't go wrong with Mario. It's I think the best side scroller there is. Just
About that.
Yeah.
Not wrong. On top of that, have you played the sequel on the Switch at all? And do you prefer levels that are just straight through, or ones that are sort of trolling and require outside the box thinking?
Well, I think I prefer just like the simpler ones.
Mhm.
When it comes to the levels, but I'm always curious to see what people come up with. It's the trolling levels when people are like messing with you. Usually, when you beat those ones, you feel like you outsmarted the creator. So it's like pretty rewarding when you beat those.
Yeah.
But I do not have Super Mario Maker 2. I actually wasn't planning on buying Switch at all, but I guess it was my brother's way of returning the favor that I bought him the Wii U. So when the Switch came out, he bought me the Switch. So I do have Nintendo Switch, but I don't really play it. No, that's the thing. Like I said, that my go-to thing is Nintendo 64, because for me, video games it's like 50-50. It's half about the game and half about the nostalgia. I'm a big guy on nostalgia. Like, N64 is a good example. Like, if you want to see like some great graphics or whatever, that's not your go-to thing. It's very polygony and that. But the thing I especially enjoy when the games were on cartridges instead of CDs, because there were no loading times. When you play like the old Game Boy or whatever, or Super Nintendo, you can just go there and there's no waiting, no loading. And yeah, still, like, if you guys remember those wrestling games from Nintendo 64, like WWF No Mercy or WCW and WR Revenge.
No Mercy was my jam.
But yeah, I still think they're really good games to this day. Like, I played some more modern wrestling games every now and then. And for me, it's just, I don't know, I guess because the gameplay is so different. I guess I'm just used to the old grappling system or whatever, but I think that some games, when you play them, they're like outdated, but I think if you guys find WWF No Mercy, I think it's still like really good game to have and play.
Unless you get the glitch where it erases all your content on the cartridge.
Oh well, that luckily hasn't happened to me, so I wasn't aware of that. So, but that sounds terrible. Oh man, because then you're a kid and you create those wrestlers for hours, and now I'll go, oh man, that sounds like the worst.
Really, I mean, I only played of No Mercy, the exhibition, just having matches and having fun. But then again, I was only like 6 or 7 at the time, so that was lots of fun to me. But yeah, that was my jam. That really takes me back.
Yeah, I can't blame you. I think it's great, and I mean, that's another thing about those older games. When it comes to wrestling, it's seeing those guys that you used to watch on TV when you were a kid. And those are people who got you into wrestling.
Right.
So, and I mean, talent today is amazing. But it's still like you have those connections when you see guys like, I don't know, like Mankind, or Al Snow, So, yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Scooter, you have a question.
Yes.
Don't forget the Burger King question.
I will Burger King your face, James.
I like McDonald's.
All right, I'm okay. While the size and stature of guys like Andre the Giant and Giant Gonzalez Elegante have become almost like folklore, most people, at least I think, don't know that Finland had their own giant wrestler who had nearly a foot on Andre and half a foot on the Giant Gonzalez. And I apologize if I butcher this name. Vanya Murin. VAINOMYLLRYIN. He turned as a wrestler in the 1930s, as well as he held the record for tallest soldier ever to serve, and at one point was the tallest man in the world for 23 years after the death of Robert Wadlow, who was nearly 9 feet tall. Standing at 8'3", did you ever hear any stories about this man, and has he become sort of a folk legend in Finland?
No, honestly, I had never heard about him before. You mentioned it, so I'm glad you mentioned it. I have to look him up, So, unfortunately, no, I guess his legacy didn't really live on. There's another wrestler, like, if you guys remember Ludwig Borga, who was Tony Halme in New Japan Pro Wrestling. So he's more popular, like, or he was, he ended his life, unfortunately, about 10 years ago or so, but he was, actually, he wasn't known from wrestling. He was, there's a show called American Gladiators, so they had the Finnish Gladiators, and he was the Viking on that one. That, like, shoot him into the mainstream popularity, and he was many TV shows, and he was also a boxer.
He was also in Finnish Parliament.
Yes, in the Finnish Parliament as well. Yeah, so he was like one of the like most, maybe not most popular person, but like most well-known Finnish people. Like you could always see him on the magazines and whatever. So I don't really hear from him since his passing. But I remember when I was growing up, like everybody knew who Tony Halme was. A lot of people didn't know that he was a pro wrestler, though. So that's interesting because wrestling wasn't on Finnish TV. But yeah, sorry. when you're talking about this man who was 8 foot tall, even though like I served in the Finnish military, I had still not heard about him. So.
Oh wow. And actually, that whatever. Oh, wow, yes. Tony Helmet was also in my favorite Die Hard movie, Die Hard with a Vengeance.
Oh yeah, he isn't there indeed, playing a police officer.
Skinner, you
Yeah.
have another question? Follow up?
Yes. So you mentioned Ludwig Borga, and essentially, assuming that Borga was the trailblazer for Finnish wrestlers, did his career have any impact on yours? Was he an inspiration in any way, shape, or form? And I don't know if you've also discussed Starbuck. Yeah.
So we can start with Borga. So, growing up, I knew who he was, and when I started watching wrestling, when I heard that he was like in WWF, I wouldn't believe it, But when I saw like clips and everything, I was like, oh wow, like yes, he was there. I don't know if I would call him an inspiration. Like, of course, he's the only like Finnish wrestler who made it big, So it's always like in some way you can relate to it. And I remember first time I met Tatanka. I usually like how do you say that? I mean, I was really early in the business anyway, but I had to ask him like his personal opinion of Borga, cause so those who don't know, Tatanka's undefeated, I think,
Yep.
2 or 3 years in a row.
2 years, almost a little more than 2 years, and it ends with Borga pinning him with just his pinky.
Yeah. So that's like what a thing for Borga, Like I think if I remember correctly, his career got short during ankle injury or something like that. I'm not that. Yeah.
Injury, late '93 into early '94.
Yeah, so that's what Tatanka was saying, that they had like big plans for Borga, in the company, but unfortunately things didn't go his way. But I think you mentioned Starbuck. I think he was more of an inspiration for me because when they started having like independent wrestling shows in Finland, I saw Starbuck. Honestly, when I saw Starbuck on TV on the first time, he was on a talk show, and I thought he had been in WWF at the time because he told the story how he got his first wrestling boots from Chris Jericho. So I just like in my mind I connected dots like, oh, he must have been on the same shows like Chris Jericho. I've seen him on Monday Night Raw or whatever, which actually wasn't the case. But they used to wrestle like in Canada, where because Starbuck is Finnish Canadian, he has dual citizenship. So he started his wrestling career, I think in '95 or '96 in Canada, and he brought the whole wrestling thing in Finland. And first time I saw him wrestling in live was in 2005. He wrestled against Steve Corino, the former ECW world champion.
Steve Corino, a man I do know.
Yeah, the thing is like, so the story is that Steve was dating a Finnish girl at the time, so he would travel to Finland, and that's how he got booked on the Finnish shows, because they didn't have to pay for his transportation, he was already there. So Steve Corino actually wrestled. We don't really get many TV stars in Finland, but Steve was there for at least 3 shows that I know of. I saw him once, and the other one I couldn't make because it was for years 18 and older, and I was a teenager at the time, so I couldn't make it. So, but yeah, so as far as I know, Steve is a really good dude. Anyway, going back to Starbucks, so yeah, that's I saw him on TV, I saw him on the live shows. Being a wrestling fan, he was like the #1 guy on the shows, and being there training with him, and Chris Jericho said really well about Starbuck. Like he's like the most famous wrestler that nobody knows of, because he wrestled in I think 22 countries so far, and he was champion in Japan and all that, but he never had that like mainstream success, like
Right.
But in European wrestling it's different in anyway, because there's no the TV support on it. There's like NXT UK nowadays, but it's not like the days of World of Sports in UK. Those days are gone, and like the thing about Starbuck is that he created the whole wrestling scene in Finland. So you have to like appreciate that. Without him, there would have been no independent wrestling in Finland, because he trained everybody. He was the only wrestler in town. because Borg had already retired and he had no interest in being part of wrestling at the time.
Alright. Now, you actually wrestled Anthony Green for NCW. How did that come about? What was it like wrestling on the East Coast? And take us into that match.
Are we talking about wrestling in Massachusetts?
Yes.
Is it Ukraine? Sorry, I thought you said about Ukraine, so I was confused. So,
no, against Anthony Green for NCW.
Northeast Championship.
Anthony Green. Oh, sorry, I thought it was Ukraine. Yeah, Anthony Green. Yes, indeed. August Gray was that his name in WWE? They mixed up a little
August
bit.
Gray.
So Oh, it was great. It's my first match in New England. I did, I think, 5 or 6 matches on that tour, and it was a smaller show. It was maybe another one of those shows with like 80 people or so. They were so welcoming. I remember I went there. They offered me Domino's pizza. It's the first time in my whole life I ate Domino's, And I mean, people shit on that company over here in the States, but I think it's maybe because the memories. I think it's the best pizza I ever had. I still every now and then order some Domino's with pepperoni and jalapenos. That's my go-to cheat meal. But maybe the pizza is really bad in Finland, I guess, So I was in the show, and when I arrived, there was like maybe 4 people there. One of them was Steve the Turtle Wiener from Chicago Pro Wrestling. So I'd heard about him, we talked a bit, and I met him. And then Anthony came there, and we talked. He was very welcoming, and we talked. And I was warming up before the match, just doing Hindu squats and push-ups. And then he came to talk to me like, "Are you trying to make me look bad?" So he had like this good sense of humor that I enjoyed. So I immediately got to get along with him. And the match was good. Yeah, it's just basic match, just a lot of storytelling. And he was the heel, I was the babyface. He was talking on the microphone like I would be an idiot who didn't speak English at all. And then I got the promo after it, and because he was called the Bad Apple, and that's when I said that, like, that's why Americans have such a bad reputation, because you're the bad apple that spoils the punch, or whatever I said, and it got over. I don't know. Just, I guess that's everything from top of my head from that match. Just a good match, good crowd, good people. So everybody who want to go see Northeast Champions Wrestling, they seem to be running still, even throughout the pandemic and all, very welcoming people, nice people. I can highly recommend it for all the workers and fans.
You could say that you were kind of in your element, because going back to your match with Starbuck, you said it was just pure wrestling.
Yeah, the thing is, like, the match with Anthony Green is more like, it was pure wrestling, but also like a lot of character. I love the character work and, working with the audience. And, I mean, Starbuck does it too, but it's more like straightforward, like more like because I don't know, I guess you could say more like competition. For me, wrestling was all about the big characters. I love like Rowdy Roddy Piper, something like you wouldn't see on any other sports. I mean, there's characters like, of course, on every sport, everybody's a character. Everybody has their own public persona. But on the level that you could see them in wrestling, it's different, and that's why. Like when I'm wrestling, it's I love a lot of character work, a lot of reacting with the crowd, because I think that makes it. And I think that's why the match was so good with Anthony Green too, because he had the same mentality. He's a really funny guy, in and out of the ring, and he has really good timing. That's the thing about wrestling too. It's not all about the moves, it's a lot about the timing, and how you can, if you think about it, like The Rock, he does the people's elbow. At the end of the day, that's the elbow drop. People do it. There's like on every match, but when he does it, the timing and placing, it's everything.
Yes. Scooter, you have a question.
So let's maybe elaborate on that a little bit more. You have more than your fair share of fans. Some say you are a comedy wrestler, but your resume of achievements would indicate otherwise. Do you consider yourself a comedy wrestler before categorizing under anything else? And was that something you were advised to do, or did it come naturally?
So when I started, it's more about the comedy, I think, and then it got more serious. And that's like what Starbuck's also saying, like you can't be main event if you're comedy. You got to get more serious. And in Finland, more wrestling, more it's like less comedy and more about the wrestling. I mean, it's still about wrestling when you're a comedy wrestler. It's how different like the scene. I was talking with one promoter actually earlier this week. He hadn't seen my work, so I was talking with him. So I said that I think I'm typecasted nowadays as a comedy wrestler. So, cause like I said, I love the character work. So they like my facial reactions and whatever. It's like what I do just to stand out, not to be like everybody else. It kind of had this comedical vibe to it. So, and I was talking about this with Luther as I was training him, and Luther told me that he's a huge fan of my comedy work, and he was encouraging me to do like more comedical because he said that some people look down on it,
Right.
but he said that it's a different thing, and he said that he appreciates wrestlers who are like funny because it takes a lot of like comical sense and a lot of good timing, and it's like some people try to be funny, but they're not funny at all. But also, if you want that lighthearted way, in the middle, that it's not just like sometimes it's too much. It's some people like I don't really want to name anybody or use example of, but you see those matches that aren't wrestling anymore. It's just too far. It's just like just a bunch of jokes, and there's the holes and everything. Just not. I think the base on it still has to be a wrestling match. It's still like. But the thing why I'm a comedy wrestler is, I guess, just like how when I make my entrance, how I get in the ring. When I talk with the microphone. It's a comical, but also it's for me. It's not way around it because I have some say a pretty thick accent. So.
I hadn't noticed.
Oh, thank you. so yeah, so no, so that's the thing. Like, I think it also makes me kind of like more like a character for some people. When I'm talking. I mean, I guess that's the best way to put it. So I think I'm getting off track from the original question, but yeah. So I think I would describe myself as a light-hearted comedy wrestler, and it's not. I just think it's a bad thing, but later on, I think it might be actually my strength. One thing though, I have to say, like, so in wrestling, you see a lot of those people who want to be the toughest guy in the world, and then they might not be the toughest guy. They just talk big, the microphone, whatever. And I never wanted to be one of those guys. I was thinking that if you want to be the toughest guy in the world, you better be the toughest guy in the world, for real, because somebody's gonna come test you one day. So for me, it was like I never wanted to act like a threat or like just how do you say it? Being like sorry, my dog was jumping on the door. I think she heard something. so there's a lot of rabbits right now. Like for the past month or so, she's like chasing them like crazy here where I live. Anyway, so so where I was talking about the comedy, talking about the. Sorry, I got off track. So.
No worries.
And do you still come out to Offspring's Pretty Fly for a White Guy?
Yes, I do. Yeah, it's there's in this we were talking about before this local show called BCW that I'm doing. It's a part of the skit that we do. It's I dance to it when I get in the ring. So the ring announcer says, "Everybody, take out your $1 bills because here comes the entertainment." So we put on Pretty Fly for a White Guy. I dance through. I like to walk on the empty seats if there's like not a sold out show. Like walk, over the people and collecting tips while I'm getting to the ring. I'm doing this dancing gimmick right now. So it's a good way to get the crowd involved and also make a couple of extra bucks, on your way to the ring. Yeah.
So basically like a better Alex Wright.
I guess so. I mean, I like Alex Wright. I think Alex Wright is excellent, a very underrated talent. Yeah. But yeah, it's I could say Alex Wright being a sort of inspiration for me, actually.
Okay.
Alright. Now, primarily for most of your career, you have been Mikko Maestro, except for a stint in Germany where you were called Mikko Swagger. Can you tell us about
Yeah, that's funny. So, that's funny. So, it's the first time I'm going to Germany, and I was talking with this promoter, and they said that they like my stuff and they heard good things about me, but they said that they just don't see marketing value for Mikko Maestro. Nobody knows you here. You've never been in Germany or whatever. So, like, they asked, like, would I? Because they thought I looked like Jack Swagger for some reason, and they asked if they could call me Mikko Swagger, and I could run with that gimmick, So then people like already know me, although they have no idea who I am. So we did that, and the funny thing is, on the halftime, they said like, "Oh, there's a lot of kids there who want to see you." So I went there, and then there are a lot of kids in the crowd. There's probably like 16 people waiting for my autograph, and they were talking, and they were really interested about Jack Swagger. They asked like very personal questions, like how was he growing up and whatever, because I was told that I'm his cousin. So I just had like made up a bunch of lies for those kids not to break the illusion, But it's funny, like. But they were right, like if I had gone to Mikko Maestro, then, it would be a different story, But now that I was Mikko Swagger and this, that I'm his cousin from Finland, then immediately, there's this group of fans who think that like, oh, yeah, like I like him, or like, oh, he's famous, So, yeah, it was a one-time deal. We talked about it, like the plan was to come to do it more often, but I was talking with Joe Legend, who was just Joe in WWF for a while, and so he told me about it, saying like, you have to think about it. If this goes over, are you going to be remembered as Mikko Maestro or as a Jack Swagger imitator? So maybe it was actually my benefit that it was only a one-time deal, because there was like a lot of like money to be made and shows to be done, but you can only go so far. And you want to create something original at the end of the day. You don't want to be you want to be the first Mikko Maestro instead of the second Jack Swagger,
No, I get that. All right. Scooter, you have a question.
Yes. Throughout your Instagram, you have numerous pearls of wisdom, and throughout your social media, for that matter. What is the most profound piece of wisdom you have ever been given?
Be yourself. Everybody else already taken. That's the best. I actually wrote that on Instagram, one of the pictures. I can't remember where I heard it from, but like, of course, you hear different variations of the same thing. Even on the movie about Paige, when The Rock says that be the first you or whatever. So, but I think that's the best way to put it. Is like, be the first you because everybody else is already taken. And I think that's doesn't apply only on wrestling. It applies on everything in life. It's like your perspective. There's people you look up to, people you like to be more like him or like her or whatever. But at the end of the day, it's like we're all very unique. There's and if you want to go far in everything, like in podcasting too, it's like some you guys have something to offer that nobody else has. So like as I can see, you guys have really done your research. It's amazing how like all this stuff comes up. From my past. It's so you can never like.
We promise we're not the feds.
So what?
I promise we're not the feds. We're not INS.
Thank you. That how do you softens the fall? Either way, but you can't really put on compete with hard work and dedication. But yeah, that's the best thing advice I would say. I have to say I might have to cut this interview short if you have a couple of questions. So I think that my dog actually needs to go out. That's why she's starting to jump because she's like scratching my door right now. If you guys have a couple more questions, we can definitely do that. And I'd like to be back on your podcast on better time. I'm sorry about this. You never really know how long this is going to run. And with family life, it's just also, if you're a pet owner, it's dogs are great, but they're also responsibility.
We will. I apologize for keeping you a little longer, but just people having a lot of fun. So we'll wrap things up with you. Before we get into the last segment, what is a match people should go out of their way to see that best shows off what Mikko Maestro is all about?
There's one match that I really like in you can find on YouTube around wrestling Starbuck. and it's not like, as I was saying now, I'm more like doing more of character. It's not like one of those, as I was saying, about light-hearted comedy kind of match, but it's a solid wrestling match from maybe 4 years ago. So I wasn't like, I've gone a long way from there. So it doesn't really portray what I can do now, but I think it's great because it's the first time I had wrestled Starbuck once before, but that was like very early in my career. It was like 4 minutes and like one like a done deal. But this was like actual, more like going back and forth, more me doing my thing. So if you write Mikko Maestro against Starbuck, I'm sure that's the one with most views. That should pop up really, really fast on the search. And every now and then people mention that match to me, so I think that people have enjoyed it.
And if you want to go and check that match out after this interview, it will be in the description of the video below, both on YouTube and Castbox. Quickly, controversial subject, pineapple on pizza. What's your stance?
Oh, never. It's like weird that I can eat pretty much everything in the world, but pineapple is the only thing that I refuse. I don't know why. I give it a chance every now and then, not just on pizza, but like in food in general. I'm not a pineapple kind of guy. It's funny because I went to Hawaii, and my friends were saying like that's like the pineapple capital of the world, so why would you go there? But no, tuna on pizza. That's my stance. In States, what you need is tuna pizza. It's really hard to find. I mean, I haven't seen it in the States, but it's very common topping in Finland. Excellent topping. Tuna. It's tuna from a can on top of pizza. Excellent.
Oh, that's pretty good.
And one more food question. Being from Finland, have you ever eaten reindeer?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, we talked about it with James before, actually. I have, and in November when I was there, I actually ate it on 3 different occasions. It's very delicious meat and actually very ethically grown. It's not like mass-produced. The reindeer still live in the forest. They earmark them, so it's definitely not like if you're against the mass production of meat industry, reindeer is the way to go.
All right. Now, since we are nearing the conclusion of this interview, we are wrestling with the 8 questions of doom.
Dun, dun, dun.
No actual doom to being heard.
This is our speed round, our bonus round, the round where we see who you really are. Are you ready, Mikko?
Oh, yeah.
Excluding yourself, greatest wrestler of all time.
Greatest of all time, I would say. Oh, okay. I can choose only one. So let's say The Rock. I think The Rock is just the way he's gone beyond belief. Even after his wrestling career, but even on his peak of his wrestling career, I think just the charisma and the electricity. There's nobody that could ever match it.
Worst wrestler of all time.
Worst wrestler. Oh, now I should probably mention somebody that nobody knows, so I wouldn't hurt anybody's feelings. Worst wrestler.
We do have a default answer.
I do not have a default answer. I can say, if you had asked me that when I was like 10-year-old, I would have said Sean Stasiak. So I guess I had to go. I haven't seen his work 4 years, so I guess I could say Sean Stasiak.
I actually know Sean, and I'm friends with him on Twitter. So.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean,
I would not disagree with you.
Your main eventing WrestleMania for the World Championship. Who is your opponent?
On WrestleMania for the World Championship, from the current roster,
Anybody.
Anybody. You know what? One wrestler I really want to work with is dancing Stevie Richards, but I don't know if I would see him as the world champion. That's the thing, But I think that I could learn a lot from him. He's like, if I have to choose dream opponent, I would say Stevie Richards. But for the belt, for the belt, I guess Brock Lesnar. That would be exciting. See how it goes. I never met him live as a person. I bet he's huge. Would probably be a very one-sided match, but I've been on those. I think I want to go the distance. It's like Rocky. That's the way to do it.
All right.
Yeah.
Respect.
Brock Lesnar.
If you could come out to anyone's entrance music, past or present, who would it be?
There was the tag team called Billy and Chuck with Billy Gunn and
Yes.
Chuck Columbo. They had a really catchy tune. That's the one.
You look so good.
Or maybe NWO. You know, you can't go wrong with the NWO theme song. I think everybody wants to come out of that. You know.
You're not wrong. Finish the sentence. Kayfabe is...
I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, I got you.
We also would have accepted is quite good on toast.
Squash, fruit or vegetable?
Squash, food, or vegetable? I would say food, because I mean, like I eat like butternut squash, and I usually actually have vegetables on the side of it. I don't know. When I think about vegetables, I think I'd go green with peas, you know, and yeah, food.
Yes, it is a fruit.
Indeed. New Japan wrestler Taichi, his ring gear gets smaller every year, revealing more of himself to the world. My question, what is the appropriate trunks to butt cheek ratio for ring gear?
Trunks to butt cheek ratio?
Yes.
I don't quite understand the question, but I guess, but I mean...
How much should be shown?
How much? Oh, no, it's a family show. It should be all the way covered, you know. It's
All right. And the main event, the last question, the thing everybody wants to know. Have you ever had a conversation with a stranger in a supermarket about Darby Allin?
No, we haven't talked about Darby Allin in a supermarket, though.
And that is the correct answer. Thank you so much for coming on and doing this with us,
Thank
Mikko. Once again, can you tell us where we can find you on social media, your merchandise, everything we need to support Mikko?
Yeah, so you can find me on Twitter and Instagram. I highly recommend checking out my Instagram because we have a lot of good pictures from Marko Simonen over the years. It's a fantastic photographer from my career in Finland. He made me always look like a superstar. So you can find me on Instagram at Mikko.maestro, Mikko.maestro. And you can also find me on Twitter at Mikko Maestro. You can buy our merchandise from Pro Wrestling Tees and Brainbuster Tees.
You've been listening to him for over an hour. Buy a damn short. Of course, all those links will be in the description of the video below, both on YouTube and Castbox. Of course, if you like what we're doing, please like, subscribe, comment, both on YouTube and Castbox. Join us for more interviews next Wednesday as March comes in like a lion. You can follow the show at Wrestling with E, both on Twitter and Instagram, for news and happenings on who's coming, when, and where. You can follow us individually as well. I am at JamesJ993. You can follow Kaliko at I am Kaliko. Where can they find Scooter?
Find me as always on Twitter at ScooterDust, as well as hosting the Remix with James premium live event coverage, alternate commentary. Next time we come to you is Elimination Chamber.
We did it already.
Oh, dang it, my memory sucks. And of course, catch me and along with Rico Constantino Jr. and the rest of the Smoking Dragons clan, twitch.tv/Smoking Dragons.
Now, Mikko, when I say wrestling with, you say entertainment.
I say, okay, let's go.
For our very special guest, Mikko Maestro, Kaliko Yacht, Scooter Dust, I'm James Shea, and this has been Wrestling with
Entertainment.
Hey guys, this is Brutal Bob Evans from Hangs with Bob Seminars and TheWrestleLife.com, and you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment, one of my favorite podcasts in the whole wide world.
Hey folks, this is the Colossal Mike Law, and you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment. Enjoy the show, support these guys. We appreciate it very much. We'll see you at ringside.